Welcome students. We are studying about animal tissue. We have till now studied about epithelial tissue and connective tissue. Today we will be studying about muscular tissue. Muscular tissue are long elongated cells, and since these are elongated, generally these are referred as muscle fibers. These muscular tissue or muscle fibers are responsible for movement inside the body. All the movement in our body takes place with the help of these muscles. These muscular tissue has a special contractile protein inside it, and these proteins contracts and relaxes, which creates a push and pull in the muscles, which ultimately results in the movement. So these muscular tissue, sometimes with the help of bone and sometimes alone, makes the movement possible. So let's study in detail about this muscular tissue. The muscular tissue are made up of long and narrow cells which are elongated in shape, and that's why these are referred as muscle fibers. These are responsible for movement, and this contains a special contractile protein which brings about the contraction and relaxation in the muscle cells. Muscles play a role in almost every activity of an organism, including the movements of the body, movements of limbs, the movement of heart, flow of blood and flow of lymph through the vessels, passage of food through the alimentary canal, flow of air through respiratory tract, etc. So all the movements are just created or caused with the help of muscular tissue. When we talk of movements are of two types in our body. Some movements are voluntary movements which can be initiated or stopped by the will of the organism. On the other hand, some movements are there which are not controlled by the will of the organism. So on those basis, muscles are also of two types, voluntary and involuntary. Voluntary muscles are the muscles which bring about movement which are according to the need and will of the organism. Likewise, involuntary muscles are present at the places where movement are not under the control of the organism. A third type of muscle is called cardiac muscle, which is present in the heart. It is present in the heart, and heart movements are also not under control of the organism. So basically, function wise, cardiac muscles are also involuntary, but they have some other features which are different from involuntary. That's why there is another separate group of cardiac muscles. So basically, muscular tissue are of three types: voluntary muscles, involuntary muscles and cardiac muscles. Voluntary muscles are the muscles which work according to the organism's will. Involuntary muscles are the muscles which do not work according to organism's will, and cardiac muscles are the muscles present in the heart of the organism. So let's discuss it one by one. The first muscle is voluntary muscle. As the name suggests, it is called voluntary muscle because it works under the control of the organism's will. It is also called striated muscles because these muscles show striations. You can see alternate light and dark bands are present. Some lining like structures are present. Alteration of coloration is present. Dark bands, light bands, dark band, light band. So alternate light and dark colored bands are present, which gives it a striations. So that's why it is called striated muscle. And also it is called skeletal muscles because these muscles are attached to bones. These muscles are voluntary and the movements are always according to organism's will. So these are present in the limb area, in the hand, legs, and there it is attached with the bones of those muscles. So that's why these are also called skeletal muscles. So these three names refers to a single muscle, voluntary, striated or skeletal muscles. It forms more than 80% of the soft tissue in a vertebrate body. These muscles show alternate coloration. These have blunt ends. The ends you can see are blunt, non-tapering ends. These are long, narrow and cylindrical. These are multinucleated. A single cell contains more than one nucleus, and this situation is called multinucleated. You can see various nucleus are present in a single fiber. It shows alternate light and dark bands. These muscles are arranged in bundles. Each muscle fiber is attached with another one and they form bundle. And these bundles are present on the both sides of the bones. These are always attached to bones and fibers are unbranched. Each fiber is enclosed by a thin plasma membrane called sarcolemma. It is found in limbs, tongue, pharynx, etc. Hands, legs, tongue, pharynx, etc. are the places where there is movement according to organism's will. It is also found in the body wall, in the neck area. So we can move our neck. All the places where movement is according to our will, these muscles are present. These work under the control of the organism's will and it help in movement of body parts and locomotion. They help in several voluntary movements of the body. These muscles get tired soon and these require relaxation after a certain gap. So these points are the characteristic. Upper 6 points are the characteristics of the voluntary muscles. This is the occurrence and this is the function of voluntary muscle. The next tissue is involuntary. It is involuntary as it do not work according to the will of the organism, but it work according to the need of the body. It is also called unstriated because you can see no striation or coloration is there. It is uniform in color, whether light or dark, but the entire tissue is of similar color. No lining or stripes is there. It is also called smooth muscle due to the same reason. These muscles have long and narrow tapering end, pointed ends. You can see these have tapering pointed ends and they are having a single nucleus. This situation is called uninucleated. So these have tapering end, smooth with uniform coloration and are uninucleated. These fibers are generally shorter than the striated muscles and these are arranged as sheets side by side. These are arranged as sheets and forms a layer. These muscles occur within the walls of internal organs except heart and in the places where involuntary actions takes place like blood vessels, alimentary canal, urinary bladder, genital tract, etc. They also occur in the iris and ciliary muscles of eyes and in the dermis of skin. Wherever there is the movement which are not under the control of organism's will and their functions, that these work according to the need of body, not according to the will of the organism. Their contractions are rhythmic. They contract slowly but they can remain contracted for longer period of time as compared to striated muscles. So these can work for a longer period of time. So these are the characteristics of involuntary muscles. Pancreas is an elongated and yellowish structure. Its exocrine part consists lobules, and at randomly the lobules contains endocrine glands secreted, spread. These are called islets of Langerhans because it appears as islets. So within the lobules the endocrine portion is spread, and this endocrine portion of pancreas is called islet of Langerhans. The islet of Langerhans, that is endocrine part of pancreas, secretes two hormones. The first hormone is called insulin. Insulin is secreted by a special cell called beta cells of islets of Langerhans. It helps to lower the blood glucose level in the body. It maintains the blood glucose level. The excess glucose present in blood is just filtered by insulin, and it is converted in glycogen, which is stored. Deficiency of insulin in the body causes a disease called diabetes. In this disease, the patient excretes extra glucose or sugar in urine and feels excessive thirst and excessive urination. The other hormone is called glucagon, and it is antagonistic to insulin, means it performs the action just opposite of insulin. It is secreted by the alpha cells of islet of Langerhans, and it increases the blood glucose level. Means if there is deficiency of glucose in blood, it converts stored glycogen into glucose. So these two hormones are secreted by pancreas, which always controls the blood sugar level inside the body. Insulin lowers down the blood sugar level, whereas glucagon increases the blood sugar level when required. The diabetes is the disease which is caused by the deficiency of insulin. Another endocrine gland is called testis. The testis is found only in male. In male, a pair of testes are present in the scrotum. So testes are present inside the scrotum, and it secretes male sex hormone called testosterone. Testosterone is responsible for the growth and development of male accessory glands like prostate gland. It also stimulates the development of secondary sexual characteristics in males during puberty, like development of mustaches and beard, hair on the body, deepening of voice, broadening of shoulders, etc. It also stimulates formation of sperms, that is male gamete. So testes are male sex hormones producing endocrine gland which are only found in male. The other endocrine gland is ovary. Ovaries are found only in females. It is present in the lower abdomen region of the female, and it secretes female sex hormones. It secretes three hormones: estrogen, progesterone and relaxin. Estrogen performs various functions, such as it stimulates the formation of female gamete, that is ova. It stimulates the development of accessory sex characters, or you can say secondary sexual characteristics of females, such as enlargement of breasts, broadening of pelvis and onset of menstrual cycle. The second hormone is called progesterone, and it is very important in maintaining pregnancy by suspending ovulation, and also it stimulates the thickening of uterus wall during menstrual cycle. The third hormone produced by ovary is called relaxin. It helps in easy childbirth. During childbirth, this hormone is secreted, which helps in broadening of the pelvic region and childbirth becomes easy. The next endocrine gland is called pineal gland. It is a very small reddish grey colored gland present in the brain. It secretes a hormone called melatonin. Melatonin regulates the working of gonads, that is testes and ovary. Also, melatonin is responsible for production of pigments which are responsible for skin color. The next gland is called thymus gland, which is present near the front side of the heart. It is a soft bilobed structure and it is very much prominent in child. It gradually atrophies in the adult. It secretes hormone called thymosin, which increase resistance to infection, which provides immunity. So it is responsible for providing immunity and it is prominently present in the young ones as compared to adults. So these are 10 endocrine glands and their various secretions. These 10 endocrine glands are the characteristics of human beings, but an individual contains only 9 endocrine glands, because in testes and ovary only one will be present in one individual. In male only testes will be present, in female only ovaries will be present. So human beings altogether have 10 endocrine glands, but a single individual always have 9 endocrine glands, and these are the hormones secreted by those endocrine glands. Now students, these are your assignment questions based on today's video. The first question, name different parts of pituitary gland and hormones secreted by each part. Here you will write down name of different lobes of pituitary and also you will mention which lobe secretes which hormone. In second question, mention the functions of thyroxine. Here simply you have to write down point wise obviously the functions of thyroxine hormone. The third question, you have to compare hormone calcitonin and PTH, parathormone. So the functions, their secretions, the endocrine glands, the position, on those basis you will differentiate between calcitonin and PTH. Next one is, what is the function of insulin? Here you will write down the functions of insulin. Also you must mention the name of disease which is caused due to deficiency of insulin. And fifth question, you have to name the hormones secreted by ovaries and mention their functions. So you will write down the name of all the hormones which are secreted by ovaries and also you will mention their functions. Thank you.